The Galactic archive stretched across 3 star systems, its crystalline databanks holding the recorded history of 10,000 civilizations. Keeper Zethkar had served within its halls for 7 centuries, his tentacled form gliding between the memory cores with practiced ease. He had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, catalogued the final words of dying species, and preserved the last songs of extinct worlds. But never had he encountered anything like the human who now stood before his station. "I need access to the Terran classification files," the human said, her words carrying an accent Zethkar couldn't place. She was small by galactic standards, her bipedal frame barely reaching his lower appendages, yet something in her dark eyes made him instinctively recoil. "Impossible," Zethkar replied, his translator rendering the words in perfectly modulated standard galactic. "Those files are sealed by Council directive. Terra 3, designation Earth, was classified as a failed experiment world. No sentient species emerged from its primordial chaos." The human's lips curved into what his cultural database identified as a smile, though it held no warmth. "My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and I'm standing right here. How do you explain that?" Zethkar's chromatophores flickered with uncertainty. The human's biological signatures were unmistakable, carbon-based, oxygen-dependent, exactly matching the theoretical models for life from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. Yet the official records were clear. Earth had been monitored for millions of cycles and had never produced sapient life. "You must be from one of the colony worlds," he said, though doubt crept into his voice. "Perhaps a genetic offshoot of the Altarian settlers who—" "Show me the files, Keeper." Her voice carried an edge that made his primary nervous system spike. "Show me what the Council has hidden about my world. Against every protocol, against 7 centuries of unwavering duty, Zethkar found himself accessing the sealed archives. The human's presence seemed to compel truth, as if her very existence was an accusation that demanded answers. The files materialized in holographic splendor, and Zethkar's understanding of the universe began to crumble. Earth's real history unfolded before them. Surveillance reports spanning millions of years, detailed biological scans, psychological profiles of developing human civilization. The early notations were clinical, dismissive. "Primitive tool users," one report noted. "Limited cognitive capacity, unlikely to achieve spaceflight within acceptable parameters." But as the files progressed, the tone shifted. Wonder crept into the scientific observations, then concern, then something approaching fear. "Subject species demonstrates unprecedented adaptability," read one report from 50,000 years ago. "Capable of surviving in environments that would prove fatal to most galactic species. Psychological profile indicates dangerous levels of curiosity, aggression, and unpredictability." Dr. Chen stood silent as the revelations poured forth. The Galactic Council had known about humanity for millennia. They had watched human civilization grow from scattered tribes to a global species. They had observed the first tentative steps into space, the development of nuclear technology, the gradual awakening of a species the Council had deemed too dangerous to contact. "Your species was quarantined," Zethkar whispered, his voice barely functioning through the translator. "The Council feared." "What did they fear?" Dr. Chen's question cut through his stammering. The final files provided the answer. Psychological assessments from the greatest minds in the galaxy, all reaching the same terrifying conclusion. Humans possessed a combination of traits that had never before emerged in sapient life. They were simultaneously capable of breathtaking compassion and devastating violence, of creating beauty that moved souls across species barriers and weapons that could sterilize worlds. But it was more than that. Humans dreamed on a scale that made other species uncomfortable. They looked at impossible problems and saw challenges to overcome rather than barriers to accept. When faced with extinction, they didn't simply adapt. They transformed their entire world to suit their needs. "The Council classified your species as anomalous apex predators," Zethkar read from the files, his voice trembling. "They determined that contact with humanity would fundamentally alter the galactic power structure. Your species doesn't just solve problems. You redefine the parameters of existence itself. Dr. Chen nodded slowly, pieces of a vast puzzle falling into place. And now you're here, Zethkar said, stating the obvious truth that shattered everything. If one human could find us, could infiltrate our most secure archives, then the quarantine has failed, Dr. Chen finished. She pulled a small device from her pocket, its design unlike anything in the galactic databases. My ship is in orbit around your primary archive station. My crew is analyzing your quantum communication networks, and back on Earth, 10 billion humans just received their first transmission from the stars. Zethkar's chromatophores flashed in patterns his species associated with the end of the world. What do you want? Dr. Chen's smile returned, and this time it held genuine warmth alongside something infinitely more dangerous. To talk. Humanity has been alone in the dark for 50,000 years, wondering if we were the only voices in the cosmic silence. Now we know the truth. You were all here, watching, waiting, hoping we'd never notice you. She gestured to the swirling data around them, the accumulated knowledge of 10,000 civilizations. The Council made one critical error in their assessment of my species. What error? Zethkar asked, though he suspected he already knew. They assumed we'd be angry about being excluded. Dr. Chen's eyes glinted with an emotion that transcended species barriers. It was hope, terrifying and beautiful in its intensity. But humans don't hold grudges against those who underestimate us. We prove them wrong, and then we help them become better than they were. She extended her hand, a gesture that the cultural databases identified as a human expression of partnership. The quarantine is over, Keeper. Humanity has entered the galactic stage. The only question now is whether the galaxy is ready for us. In the depths of space, 10 billion humans looked up at stars they now knew were not empty. And across the Yao galaxy, 10,000 civilizations received the same message, broadcast in perfect standard galactic with an unmistakably human accent. Hello, we're ready to be friends. The universe would never be the same.